Welcome back, everybody, here to the Justin Diedrich channel, episode 2 of This Just in the Booth. We've got a very special guest here with me today, Tyler Henry. Tyler, how are you doing today? Of
Hey, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
course, it's a pleasure to have you on. For those of you guys who don't know Tyler Henry, I think it's best to hear from the man himself. So if you want to introduce just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so like you said, Tyler Henry, I'm the voice of Kansas Wesleyan University, which is an NAIA powerhouse kind of in the middle of Kansas in the area where I grew up. Before that, had a chance to kind of travel around after my time at Arizona State and kind of did the loop on the D1 circuit for a little while. I think I ended up moving 7 times in 18 months just to kind of taking seasonal D1 gigs here and there and just doing like a baseball season here, a basketball season there. Wound up doing a graduate assistantship for a couple of years at Kent State University, and then finally found a home and a full time gig and chance to call some college football and get my hands on some good full time stuff. So it's been a good time. I've enjoyed it and looking forward to continuing here into year 2 after this.
Yeah, you've had a quite an eventful time then traveling all around, getting to experience a whole bunch of different places, a whole lot of different sports, and as it means you get a wide range of just kind of like experiences you can kind of add to just your own, what you do. Just kind of helps learn on the fly, pretty much.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like the more versatile you can be, the more the more tools you have in your tool belt, the better off you're going to be, and the more attractive you are to employers. Because the thing that I've learned is like you never know what you're going to get asked to do. Like writing, graphics, a chance to do different sports. Like they asked me to do field hockey at Kent State, and like I had never done it before. But if you have that experience tucked away already, it makes it easier to be ready when your number gets called. And yeah, I mean the more versatile you can be, the better off you'll be. So.
Yeah, that's something I try to do. Student at University of Cincinnati, right? I do a whole bunch of different stuff. I got shows, obviously got the YouTube channel. I got a podcast. I've been broadcasting sports since my freshman year of high school. So it's just kind of doing every little bit you can to diversify yourself and build up all those different skills. I've got a few questions here for you today. We're just kind of go through. I want to start talking about the NAIA a little bit because obviously the NCAA gets a lot of attention in March. It gets the bulk of attention. Not everyone pays attention to the NAIA, but with you having experience in both the NCAA and the NAIA, we're going to kind of switch over and talk about that a little bit. So just kind of like how much does it mean for you personally to be able to be the voice of an NAIA, that's tough to say fast, school,
It is hard to say fast.
and just like how much does that mean to you to be like one of the premier voices of one of the best schools in the NAIA?
Well, and again, I don't know if I'd say premier voice, but it's good to be in a place that is, man, the way Kansas Wesleyan runs their operation. As somebody who has been blessed with opportunities to see some time and to do some work at some higher levels, that's as seriously as they take it. That's the way that they run their business, and everybody from the athletic director down to the SID to the coaches. I mean, this is a Division I type feel, and the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is a lot of NAIA schools, that's how it is. I mean, a lot of people think that the pecking order, it's, D1, D2, D3, NAIA. It's not really the case. When you look at the way that these universities are run, when you look at the facilities, and that's the other thing. Like I had a chance to do some work at, some Division II and Division III schools. Some of the facilities here in the NAIA, I mean, far surpass that. And we're blessed and we're fortunate at Kansas Wesleyan to, to have access to what we do and to have the support of the community the way that we do in Salina. But no, it's really, I mean, it's something special. And, going back to, I think, the initial question, I mean, I've wanted to be the voice of a university since I started doing this when I was 16 years old. Like, I still remember doing the high school streams and wondering one day, maybe I'll get a chance. And, to finally have a place where I can settle in, I can be in one place. And I can be the guy that calls college football. When this team goes on an NAIA run this week, I'll be the guy there calling some college basketball. And, it's not about me. It's about the kids. It's about the coaches. It's about the community. But, just to have the opportunity and the availability to be along for the ride like that and to get to take part in this, it's been something really special.
Yeah, not only getting to cover, the team, be able to show, support as well as get them coverage for the athletes. You also get to do it for a team you said you grew up close to where you grew up. It's kind of just a full circle moment there for you.
Yeah, a little bit. And it's funny too, because I think when I left for Arizona State, there was a part of me that thought that, maybe I'd never end up back in Salina. I mean, a lot of people don't get a chance to go back to their hometown, but I've had a good relationship with the radio station that employs me and the radio station that has the broadcast rights to Kansas Wesleyan. And, being able to kind of cultivate that relationship, it's what this business is. It's getting to know the right people and making those relationships. And then, when the time is right, you get your chance and, you get an opportunity. So, but yeah, it's been good. It's been good to be back closer to home. This was the first Christmas and the first Thanksgiving in 7 years that I didn't have to hop on a flight and, head halfway across the country to come home. It's nice to be right down the road from some really great people. So
You mentioned you've got, a lot of different things going on for you, right? Between the writing and the radio station, as well as all the different broadcasts and the different sports. How do you just kind of, manage that time and juggle all the different things you have to do?
caffeine. I mean, I joke, but honestly, like that's the thing a lot of people don't realize when they dive into sports is that you just don't know what your workload's going to be like. And I'll be honest. I mean, during the winters, I'm working 80-hour weeks. I'm getting up and I'm starting work at 8 a.m. and I'm usually not done until 8 p.m. Sometimes later than that. But when you want to give everything to the people you work for, when you want to put out high quality content both on the written side and especially on the broadcast side, I mean, that takes preparation, that takes time, that takes work, and you know that. And so, it's been a thing of just I think the thing that I tell a lot of younger broadcasters, I'm 26. I don't know everything. Like I'm still learning a lot as well. But the one thing that I think has been the most valuable to me, or one of those things, has been learning to balance that time. It's been learning to, when you have time to take for yourself, take that time because you don't know how much you're going to get. And I know a lot of us get our summer break and we get a little bit of downtime here and there, but I mean, really, it's about finding time to just unplug and recharge because at the end of the day, if you run yourself ragged, you're no good to anybody. And so, finding that time and finding that balance, I think has been really big for me here in these first couple of years.
Yeah, I know I'm definitely starting to learn that between I wasn't too bad doing the basketball season for Cincinnati. I was pretty on top of my stuff, and then I got to doing a baseball game, which I'd never done before. And I waited a little bit too long to start the spotting boards for baseball. And then I realized, oh my, there's a lot of players to go over here. And it definitely took a little bit of caffeine for that one. Going on here a little bit. So I want to talk about just, Kansas Wesley in general, right? This basketball season, as we're in basketball time here in March. Just kind of the men's team made it all the way to the KCAC championship game, as well as the women's team also had a really, really good season, making it to the semis. And obviously, the men's team is going to be in the tournament as a 5 seed. Just how much fun was this season to call with both basketball teams having a really incredible year?
Man, it was such a blast, and I think one of the unique things that I've never experienced before. Everywhere else that I've been, I've done basketball, and normally, your women's team will travel, your men's team will stay home, and then they'll flip flop. Well, with the NAIA to save money on travel, both teams are in the same place for both games, and so we do doubleheader stacks. Like we'll pull up, we'll do the women's game, and then we flip it over, and we're immediately into the men's game, which was kind of a unique experience, but. Man, it's just college basketball has always been. I mean, I love every element of what I get to do, and that goes down from the biggest sports to the smallest sports to some of the niche stuff that I've done here and there. But college basketball, that's my baby, and the people here are incredible. I mean, Coach Showman and Coach Munson, I can't say enough about just the kind of people they are, in addition to the kind of coaches they are. And the thing that I love most about this gig, and not just the basketball teams, but it was great to have some gig work and to have a chance to show up and do home games, at Northern Colorado and at NAU. But you don't get the full story, and you don't get to tell the full story of a team throughout the course of a season. And so for me to have a chance, I know I missed a couple of games early in the year with crossover with football, but to see these teams grow and evolve, to see these student athletes, change and mature as players and as people. I mean, that's the unique experience that I had not gotten to experience myself because, a lot of my work was seasonal. And you're right. I mean, it's been a heck of a year. I mean, the women's team made a great run at it. They fell to a really good Tabor team, and this men's team is doing some things that this program has never seen before. I mean, they're the only group in program history to ever post 3 or more 20-plus win seasons in a row. They just played for their first conference championship since 2009. And now they get to go to the NAIA tournament, and they're the first team in the history of the KCACR conference to get a chance to play at home. It's going to be at Maybe Arena. That arena is going to be decked out in purple and gold, and the fan base and the Salina community will be there. But it's one of those things where I just have to step back and realize how blessed I am just to have a chance to be a part of it, because they've been building this for a long time. I mean, I just came in this year and got to work, and I've been fortunate to call some pretty exciting games. But yeah, I mean, it's like you and I were talking a little bit before we started recording. There is nothing like March, and there is nothing like March Madness. And Yeah, when that ball goes in the air tomorrow night, it's going to be a good time. So,
Yeah, I mean, March Madness runs not even just through the NCAA, right? We talked all about the NAIA and just how, it's even comparable to some D2, D3 programs. It's not just the NCAA that really runs March. It's all of college basketball in general between men's and women's is just absolutely absurd. You never know what's going to happen when it comes for bracket time.
well, and there's so much talent, and that's the thing that I don't think people realize either. You look at the talent here, and I'm not saying that any of the best players from the NAIA would be able to just make the transition to go play for a Power Five school. But and there are guys. You look at a guy like Kevin Clark, who plays for Southwestern College down in Winfield, Kansas. He's an NAIA kid, but he's averaging 30 points a game. I mean, he's borderline unguardable. He plays like a Harlem Globetrotter with his hair on fire the whole time. And you look at some of the other guys in our conference that, Alex Littlejohn, Kansas Wesleyan's got down in the paint, June Murdoch on the outside. Like, there are guys that would easily be stars of Division II, Division III schools. And even in my opinion, some of these guys could compete down at some of the mid-major levels of Division I as well. A lot of people, like I said, I think they think there's that natural pecking order that goes D1, D2, D3, NAIA. But if there's one thing that I've learned this year from football and basketball, especially, and there are some special athletes down here, and it is far from as simple as a lot of people think it is.
Yeah, I think just people don't really understand how much talent there is throughout the entire country as a whole. So when you're only like looking at one aspect of it, you're kind of ignoring the other sides. There's still so much talent out there that people have yet to, even watch or discover or hear about. So obviously Kansas Wesleyan in a 5 seed for the tournament. I assume you're going to be going with them for the entire tournament.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and talk about getting a little bit lucky. The national host site from the Sweet 16 is in Kansas City, which is like 3.5 hours up the road from Salina. So yeah, I mean, if they do make it there, I know there are some teams that are out in Oregon and Florida that are like, oh boy, like how do we make that trip? But for us, I mean, we're right there.
That's good timing for you guys to make it there. So I was going to ask, who you'd have winning the tournament, but I'm pretty sure I know what your answer would be. So
So I
I,
mean,
I'm
there's
gonna,
some good teams out there. I will say that, and that's something I talked about with our head coach as well. He said this time of year, like nobody's happy with their draw, and that's you look at the 64 teams in this field. There are very few pushovers. There are very few easy nights, and especially after that first round. I mean, I couldn't tell you because you look at that top 25, man. There are some really really good teams in there. Kansas Wesleyan, I think, is one of them.
I hope for you guys' sake, you don't fall to that 5-12 curse. That's always a common thing that happens on March.
Maybe we can keep that in the NCAA. Huh?
Yeah, we'll keep that. We'll keep that in the NCAA. Probably, South Carolina might fall to that one this year. They're projected a 5 right now. I don't think my Cincinnati Bearcats are even going to be in the tournament, so I don't have to worry about numbers at this point. Though we have a chance. We've been playing good basketball recently. Let's go back a little bit, kind of, your travels around before you found your home here at Kansas Wesleyan. What's just like what comes to mind? One of the coolest, experiences that you've had going around all these different places? It just kind of pops in your mind, a moment that you're like, wow, that really happened.
So my first ever college men's basketball broadcast of my entire career. I don't know how I convinced him, but I convinced my student radio director. Nobody else was going to go to Kansas. It was a road game. We weren't planning on covering it for student radio. I convinced him, since I was going to be home for winter break anyway, to let me go down and call Arizona State play Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse. Kansas, I mean, again, lifelong KU Jayhawk fan. I mean, Kansas was at that point, they were the number 2 team in the country. And it was Arizona State was one of the last 3 undefeated teams in the country. So, they weren't ranked. No one expected anything out of them. Bill Self doesn't lose at home, especially not after a loss. And ASU pulls off the upset. And I mean, if you broadcast, 1 to 3 times a year, 4 or 5 if you're lucky, you'll get a game, you'll put that headset down, and you just go, man, like this is why I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I mean, that just further cemented to me that like I'm in the right place, I'm doing the right thing, like this is what I want to do. Had a similar experience. Had a chance to call Arizona State beat Oregon when they were number 6 in the country, last game of the regular season in the Pac-12, and like denied Oregon a spot in the college football playoff that year. And then I mean we've had a couple of games even now. Like I mean I've seen some cool facilities. I've been around and done some cool things, but Kansas Wesleyan this year twice played against Southwestern College. They were number six, or actually three times. They were number six in the nation the first time. They were number nine in the nation the last two times. And in both of the last two games, they trailed by seven or more in the last minute and 30 seconds and came back and won. And like, you're not supposed to do that at all. You're sure as heck not supposed to come back and do it twice. But it's those moments. It's the elation from the crowd. It's the energy that you feed off of. It's the way the players and the coaches get fired up. I mean, it's stuff like that that really sticks out in my mind, and just those energy moments that you never really forget.
Yeah, I think I remember watching that Arizona State Oregon game. Was that Jaden Daniels and Brandon Ayuk that kind
It
of
certainly
went
was, and
crazy
Frank
that game?
Darby, and yeah.
That
Well, and
was
the funny thing is, everyone's like, "Oh, N'Keal Harry's the guy that's going to go off and be a big NFL star," and then he busted with the Patriots. And now Brandon Ayuk's doing everything with the Niners. So yeah, but no, that was that squad for sure.
that was a fun team. That was definitely a fun team.
Also, the Jaden Daniels going on to become an LSU Heisman, just not on my bingo card when I graduated.
I'm like I'd like other than the Bearcats, I'd go there. I was an LSU fan before I went to Cincinnati, so I was really excited when Daniels came to LSU because I'm like
I'll bet.
I see the potential. I watched him play at ASU, and then he goes. I was definitely wasn't expecting a Heisman though. I mean, that's was
No, I
nowhere
don't think
close
anyone
to what I was
was.
expecting. Yeah, that was a magical run. But I want to go here, kind of finish things off our last little talk, right? We did shy away from the NCAA a little bit, but we can't really pick a winner for the NAIA because we know who you're going to say, Kansas Wesleyan. That's probably who I would pick, considering I haven't done a whole lot of research on it yet. So we're going to go, if you have a champion pick for the NCAA bracket or like a sleeper team, let's hear it.
I'm gonna. I hate to do this to you. I don't think I do. This shift for me to the NAIA has been so heavy, and my head has been there for so long, and it's something else that I tell people too. You gotta find ways to be where you are. And I love college basketball. I'm a big Kansas fan, but I can't give you an educated pick right now at this point in the season, unfortunately. But I will be filling out my brackets just like everybody else. And knowing how March Madness goes, maybe my bracket will do better since I don't know what I'm talking about this year.
You might have a better chance. My bracket was dead after day one last year. I got absolutely killed. I think it was Purdue and Fairleigh Dickinson killed my bracket.
Oh no. Yeah, that was a tough one for a lot of friends of mine.
Last year was just a whole lot of upsets. This year, I think it's gonna be a lot more upsets because I think it's just more open this year. I mean, there isn't like a one dominant team, which is interesting to have.
Always fun.
Yeah, it's more
Yeah, for
fun
sure.
like that. It's a lot of just more, intertwined competition, right? You get more of those moments that you had talked about, just kind of the comebacks, the tight games at the end. It's what makes sports, fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so things about all I got here for you. Got anything else you wanna talk about, mention here?
Um, Nothing crazy. I mean, like I said, if you happen to be from the area, Friday night, 8 o'clock, Kansas Wesleyan, LSU Shreveport, opening round of the NAIA tournament, and yeah, I mean, it should be a fun ride. So looking forward to it, and I hope you enjoy March as much as I do, sir.
Of course, one last time, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Pleasure having you on. Good luck with your tournament there, and hope KU goes well.
We'll see about KU. Kansas Wesleyan might do me better this time around, but thank you so much. Great to be on the show.
Thank you.